weeping lasted all night. I know that joy comes in the morning light. So I'll march on to a new song, 'cause I've been marching to that old one way too long. And I gotta move on and take new steps every day, 'cause I know there has got to be another way. And a brighter day, so I march on. Hello. Welcome to P.U.R.E Live. It is Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you are exactly where you're supposed to be. We are doing our part 2 today, as I promised last week. I have my son back with me, and we have Wendell Powers back with us. But before we do any of that, you know what we do. We start off with our sponsors. So here we go. Okay. And as I always say to you guys, that organization is wonderful, period. My daughter says. They are very supportive. There is a huge network of loving and business-minded and Christian women that will support you 100%. They are part of why I have the show today. And we are going to move on to our next sponsor, Motives Cosmetics. Here we go. All right. So yes, I do wear Motives Cosmetics on my show. And they're sorry. Their cosmetics are wonderful. And I am also sporting a Bella eyewear today. These are my blue blockers. This is just one of the pair I have. And you can get these shades also. Those are some other blue blockers I'm wearing there. And if you want to get them, you can get 30% off on my website, along with a discount for Motives Cosmetics. If you go to asiajamal.com or asiajamal.net, because I own them both, you get that discount. You're welcome. Now, today, let's get started. We're going to bring in Wendell Powers.
Hi.
What?
Hi. Hi. Welcome again. Thank you for coming
Listen,
back.
I just wanted to let you know that your picture is not clear on you, daughter.
Oh, it looks clear to us. Maybe it's your stuff.
Okay. Well, clear to me, but you and Christian are kind of blurry.
Look clear to us. You look
Okay.
clear. Okay. Well,
Am I blurry?
you're just a little staticky looking.
Grainy.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
It
because
just means your camera's too high. You can't really fix that.
Mm.
okay. Well, I'm clear, so that's important.
Yeah. You're not, but yes.
Okay. Just in case you guys haven't figured out, they're related. This is Christian's grandfather. So
Hi,
we're very
grandfather.
comfortable with each other.
Hey, grandson. Number one
All
grandson. Number one grandson.
all right.
Oh, okay.
Number one, he says. I mean,
Well,
he is his
what?
Born.
firstborn. All right, you guys. So last week we addressed some things regarding the military, some of the differences between how they market it to people in Windows Day versus Christian's Day, and talked about some of the different challenges that Windows had and Christian had. So I want to dig a little further today, but today I want to address what Christian is actually in for, which is National Guard. I think a lot of people don't actually know what they do. So
I know what they do.
I know what they do. I know. Ooh, teacher. I know.
okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show this video that will break down what the National Guard does. Okay, here we go.
In 1636, long before our country was known as the United States of America, the National Guard was established as our first military institution. But what is the National Guard? What is the purpose? How is it organized? And most important, why do people join? The purpose of the National Guard is twofold. One, to have a standing force of trained soldiers ready to move at the direction of a state's governor in times of natural disasters or emergencies. And two, to be mobilized federally in times of war and national need. That service could be close to home or overseas. The National Guard is distinct in that Guard members serve part-time and are known as citizen soldiers. At a minimum, they train 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year so that they are ready to respond whenever and wherever they are needed. In exchange for their service to their communities and country, National Guard soldiers receive compensation, as well as numerous benefits. First, the National Guard will help pay for a 4-year college education or vocational school. In many cases, the Guard covers up to 100% of those education costs. And in the National Guard, you can serve part-time, close to home, while you attend college full-time. So you protect your own community where your part-time service will have the best, most direct effect on the people who matter most to you. National Guard members receive paid career training and earn a steady paycheck. There are also opportunities for advancement. By law, Guard pay increases the longer you serve. And as a National Guard member moves through the military ranks, each promotion earned is coupled with an increase in pay. National Guard members are also eligible for low-cost life insurance, healthcare benefits, and a 401k type savings plan. If you serve 20 years, you get a military retirement in exchange for your part-time service. Maybe the best benefit is the hardest to put into words. Serving just feels good. If it's your nature to help, you can't do more to help yourself, your family, and community than by becoming a part of the Army National Guard.
Hey.
He said he doesn't sound motivated enough, and he goes, "Hey,
No.
yes."
Well, the part about you being able to do 20 years in the Guard and get full-time pay.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
That's accurate.
That wasn't there when we was joining.
Oh,
You
that's why
had
you
to
said, hey.
Yeah, you had to stay until you was 65.
Oh no.
65 years?
You don't have to do
You had to
that.
stay until you turned until you was at retirement age.
Oh, just 20 years.
No.
Yeah.
I retired 37.
No, I'm not talking about the military, grandson. I'm talking about you get you
He
if you
gets a
stay.
full military retirement after
That's what
20
I mean.
years. Yeah.
37.
Yeah.
I retired.
No. It wasn't like that then.
No,
In the
Oh, yeah,
regular
I
army,
know
it is now.
that. I just
yeah, I
mean
know. In the
now.
regular army, if you did 20 or the regular military unit, you do 20 regular active years, you got your full-time pay. But in the guard at the time, if you served, you only got that if you went into your government citizen retirement age.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, no. That's
yeah,
not the deal now.
Not
yeah.
anymore.
So that's a good deal. See, if they had
37.
that, I would have joined up right out of high school and just, I would have been finished by 97, period. Or I mean, no, out of high school, I
I'm like,
97
wait.
years old.
would have been finished I would have been finished. Wow.
So you started in your early 20s, right?
Yeah, but if I would have went right out of high school, I would have been
Oh,
getting
yeah.
out at 97 in 1997 from
Oh, okay.
17
I was like,
1997.
okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would have did that. I didn't even have to go full time. That
Mhm.
might have made it me a little easier to stick to to say, okay, I'll do 20 years this because
Right.
1 week in a month and 2 weeks a year, that's nothing.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear you.
Giving you time to do other things. See, they didn't have it
So,
as it's just like, but then again, at the same time, you could drop out of high school and join the military, and as long as you did okay on the test, uh, you could still, depending on what your aptitude was. But at the same
Talk about that on the show?
no,
No, we're
I
not
love
digging into
asking
that.
the
No,
question.
you can ask
what's
that.
that?
Nothing. Okay, moving forward. This is my show.
It is. Oh, dang, I thought this was the Window Our Power show.
Oh no, sir. We can
Oh,
work on that later.
I
Okay.
got to talk to my agent.
Okay. Yeah, you do that. All right. So what I'd like to do, so last time it was more so heavier on your experiences that you dealt with going in and why you went in. So now I want to address first what your plans are, because I thought that your plans were very interesting. So what you said, Wendell, you're like, oh, that sounds good. I would have gladly done 20 years of that and finished. And okay, this young man, that's not his plan. Yes, he wants to retire, but he does not plan on staying just part-time National Guard the full 20. Is that correct?
I don't want to do that. It's
So
too
tell
easy.
me what your plans on, sir.
Plans
are.
jumping out of airplanes.
Because part-time's too easy. I've decided to upgrade. Well, later after college, I'm going to go special forces. That is after I become an officer, going through the S&P program, and then I'm going to go special forces, which is like a 2 to 3 year process. And then I want to go on a combat deployment at least once, because I feel like I feel like I should go on one.
All right, but why you feel like you should go on one? You got to know that answer. Don't go because people motivate you to.
Okay.
Because you sound right now, you sound like
He's trying to answer you, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
It's what I've been training for to use. It make no sense to do a bunch of drills and everything and never actually use what I'm doing. That's why. It's like I gotta use it at some point.
Well, that's yes and no. I mean, you got to do what you're gonna do, and I can't make you. But what I want you to do. You've put a lot of opinions in 8 weeks of training.
Yes, he has.
Okay.
Now hold your thoughts. So one of the things that he said, I want to magnify for a moment. He said what he's doing currently would be too easy. I'm wondering if you dealt with any of Christian's kind of people when you joined the Army, because I thought to myself, Christian is going to annoy some people because he's one of those that are not, the
Yeah,
average.
we would give them blanket parties.
What's
I mean,
what's a
I don't know how
blanket
well that would
party,
work out
sir?
for you.
that's
What's a
when you're
blanket?
going through training with somebody and they try to be the super soldier. They go past. It's one thing to be good at something, like if you could run fast, like I could run fast. I could do certain things physically, okay? And I would always try to do my best. I would never slack off, whatever it was. But at the same time, sometimes soldiers would jump and volunteer to do things that because they didn't made it through basic, because this was once I got to an AIT. See, you ain't even been to advanced training yet. And then they get a little cocky, and then they kind of act like hey, you're not gonna do this, or you're gonna be a cook, or you're gonna be a supply guy, and everybody, so a lot of soldiers will tell you in the rear with the gear is where all the information is near. Okay, it's like
Okay.
Yeah,
Bars.
you
All
you
right.
know
I respect jobs.
it's like a lot of combat soldiers. There's all types. There's the ones that actually they are, and they don't have. It's not. They just do it, but not because they think they should or something. They do it because it's almost a natural thing. It's not even. They don't even explain it like you do. The matter of fact, they say very little. The best soldiers I've seen that go into hardcore combat, they don't talk as much as you and me, Christian. They
Mhm.
really don't. Excuse me. I love you, grandson. I'm just saying.
Well, I talk a
You,
lot with you guys, but when I'm out there, I don't talk.
okay, but here's the other thing. You in 8 weeks, you have took basic training. Basic training is the easiest
10
part
weeks.
of the military.
10 weeks.
Okay. 10 weeks. Is still the easiest part. Basic training was fun to me. So was the IT, advanced training. Now, if you go in special forces and that's past airborne and you're going to do that, that's a whole different type of animal. You can't even compare it to what you learned in basic. All you can do is take what you learned in basic, because they'll say you've learned to fire a weapon. You've learned, but now you're going to learn the humility. You're going to learn how to, sleep in your own and waste. You're going to learn things, how to survive and survival. And if you want that, that's cool. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself as a human, what is it that you're actually good at? What is it that you would like to do the rest of your life? The rest
Mm-hmm.
of your life as a
Mhm.
living, whatever it is, but it's, you got to enjoy it. Now I know you like
Mhm.
basic, and you might be that soldier, you might be one of those but what I'm saying is you have to make sure that you're not sounding, because right now you sound like a recruiter's sponge.
No, I didn't. Everything that I decided was not because of a recruiter. I
I
had
didn't say
learned
it was because of
after.
recruiter. I'm saying
You
you,
just saying
everything
that
you're
you sound
saying,
like
you
you
sound
Okay.
just
just
sound
like
like it.
him.
Yeah.
You sound like him. You don't have, it's not original.
I
Okay.
guess.
You are original. My grandson, I know you're original. You've been original from the day you came here. You have that bright face, but I'm just saying there's a lot of you going, there's a lot more to it than that. And I just see you there's so many different levels, and there's
Mhm.
so many different ways that your mind and your personality might be more effective in other departments. There's thousands of jobs, and you've already jumped on the obvious one. I'm not saying that ain't for you. I'm just saying you haven't explored the whole gambit,
Actually sound very
and
obvious at all. Most people
and you
don't
haven't
know that.
you haven't
Yeah,
you haven't. Here's
I
another
told you
thing:
that one person.
you haven't lived on your own yet. Now, after college, in when you finish college, When you going to college, right? Hello, you going to college, right?
Of course. That's what that's
Okay.
here for.
When you
That's why he said
so
he was
I
going to
want
be an officer with
yes, I know, I heard it, but I just wanted to confirm.
oh,
My point is that when you finish college, then maybe you'll have that same, or you might have broadened your horizon by the time you're
mhm.
21.
Well, right. So I want to actually take that and turn a little bit. I'll say turn further into it. I'm gonna play this video and then I'll break down why I am playing this video. So here we go.
Okay.
All right, now let me explain why I showed that.
Hoorah.
Hoorah. Wait, what?
That's Marines. So reason the reason I showed that was because this is what people are seeing these days as far as promoting the military goes. However, everybody has their different reasons for joining, and everybody is made for it either. Which is why not everybody, stays in for, all the way until retirement, 20 years, 25 years, what have you. So before I get to you, I'm gonna start with Wendell this time. Um, when you decided to join the military, was there anything other than I need some money or I need a job that drove you to say this is something to be a part of?
Well, when I joined, money wasn't the issue because I was making less money when I joined the military. Okay.
Okay.
So that wasn't the thing. I was in a rut. I dropped out of school. I didn't have, I knew what I wanted to do if I could get back into school, but I didn't seem like I couldn't get enough money together to do that and live. And and the jobs that I was receiving were dead end, you know. So at that time, but I joined the Army because of all the things that I did not do by the time I was Christian's age. You see, grandson, you are so much prepared in so many different ways that I'm not saying that you wouldn't be a great combat soldier because I know you would. What I'm saying is, I just think you're more. Uh, and you're prepared to do more because I'm not looking downward on a combat soldier. I'm not looking downward on any of that, but it always is very important that I noticed when I was in headquarters and when I was in different places and where I saw people doing things like my cousin Bradley's a graphic artist. He has a degree in everything, right? Well, I saw a guy in the army doing that, and he was doing that for the military, for the army, and he was in headquarters, but he wore a uniform. He trained with us. And oh, another thing, when you're in headquarters, you still have to get out there and train. Okay. Now, if you want to get down and get your ass in the grass, you want to get down into the mud, and you want to get, you know, with it. Yeah, you do the special force training. What interests me about that commercial, they showed all the combat jobs, and that's like a
And some medical
handful.
stuff
The
and science.
percentage of soldiers that are actually combat soldiers are very small.
Mhm.
And it's the elite group that actually go. But then at the same time, it's also something that is more than just that, because none of them are going to show the other side of that. The other side of that, if you come through it, how you're going to be when you come through it, will you be able to cope when you come through it? See, I see I'm at VA. I see the ugly side. So
Mhm.
there, I have great respect for the military, but I will never, ever tell anybody to make combat their first choice unless they, because if you say you're doing it to make a difference, because once you get in there, the only people you're serving is the guys that you are serving with. Okay. The guys that you're out there in firefights with, the guys that you're on a mission with. You
Mhm.
know, those, you know, you got to watch each other's back, watch each other's six. But this the what I don't like about some of these commercials is that they don't show, and you see a lot of people in the different jobs, whether it's medicine, whether it's production, you know,
Mhm.
like, whether it's, working for the Armed Forces Network as a editor or writer, or you
Mhm.
working in finance, how to balance the budget of a whole company and get them paid right. You know,
Mhm.
that's the kind of stuff that transfers right. Because you talk about after the military, you talk about that quick 20 and then you do something else. Well, I'm just saying, once you do what you're talking about doing, you can still do something else. But at the same time, the number of people that come through that with no damage to them is not that high. Now, a combat soldier that made it through and nothing happened to him, he'll have one out of way to look at it. Some of the guys that didn't make it, that got hurt and seriously injured, lost a limb or something, a lot of them, they'll say, "Hey, I did what I thought I was going to do." You'll have other guys that, I made a mistake. I at my apartment. You met the guy Christian, Roy. He had a little TV at my apartment, my first apartment, and you came over and he said he was gonna give you the TV, the little bitty television. When you was a kid, but you talked to him. He stayed with me for like 4 months in my first apartment. He was from VA. He was a Green Beret, a Ranger. He did all of that. And he made it through. He reached the rank of master sergeant. He made a good living for himself. But he'll also tell you about all the things that he has to deal with still from some of the stuff he had to do that he
Mhm.
never recovered from. He,
Mhm.
is certain things that happened to him that it, it's this not as cut and dry as that commercial. They show that side, but they don't show that guy that gets his back broke because another guy fell on top of him. Even though you might be a trained soldier, or they don't show the fact that a whole platoon gets left behind, not on purpose, but because of a situation.
Right. I
That's
want I
sad.
want I want to dig further into that. We're going to take a quick break because you have a unique perspective because not only are you on the other side, but you are dealing with veterans on a regular basis. So I want
Mhm.
to dig further into that after we take this break. But for those of you that are watching via YouTube, this is what I want you to do. subscribe. Follow me. If you are on Facebook or anything else, just follow me. You never know what I put out there. You can go to my website and also follow the newsletter. I will be releasing little nuggets here and there. If you don't follow me, you'll never know. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and play this trailer and take a small break. And then when we come back, we're going to play Find the Fake. And then we're going to dig deeper into this conversation. Here we go. Jamal Rogers, and I'm a singer, songwriter, choreographer, voice actor, and I'm the creator and talk show host of P.U.R.E Live. P.U.R.E is an acronym for Perfectly Undefined Raw Elegance. So naturally, we want our content to be pure, raw, and elegant. It airs live every Friday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. And if you'd like to see all of the episodes, you can reach it at asiajamal.com, ASIAJAMAL.com. Or if you'd like to be on the show, you can reach me at asia@asiajamal.com. Hope to see you soon. All right. So today's Find the Fake is about Mr. Wendell R. Powers. So the subject of this game, you have to pay attention to the statements. We will have 3 true and 1 false. Your job is to figure out which one is the fake. And if you guess correctly, you win a prize. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I play?
It's about you. Okay. So here we go.
Oh, wait.
All right. He will not tell you yet. I will play this once again before the show is over. For right now, we're going to move forward with the conversation. All right. Back to our conversation, digging deeper into what we were speaking of, Mr. Wendell R. Powers. I would like you to explain a little further about that transition period. So there, as you deal with veterans and things like that, you have seen the transition from military to the real life, and everybody has their own different walks, and some people are dealing with things easier than others. So what is it that people are not getting from these shows, or that they're not getting from the recruiters? What's the other story?
The after, it's like when you come in, your training, your camaraderie, all those things are true. The different tasks. But what I don't like, well, it's the recruiter's job to fill the spots of what you see in the commercials. They're looking for those guys. And now it's not hard to join up, but it's the going all the way through. And I don't mean going through the training, graduating from Ranger School or graduating from Special Ops School or any of the different parts branch. I took even when I took special weapons training, which is a whole different thing. That was once I was in the military. That's because I was with headquarters and I was attached to artillery unit and transportation and to learn. And I just, I wanted to learn what it was about. And the studies and things that you would have to do in certain jobs, It's like you could choose if you would or would not. It doesn't make you rough. I knew a guy, he worked in mail. He, for the US Army, he was a mail clerk. And he was one of the toughest guys I knew. It wasn't that he couldn't do the other. He actually did in his first 3 years. He went through all of that and and made it through. But at the same time, when he came out on the other side, he was telling me about what he appreciated about what he's doing now, and the fact that how some people can do these jobs and it goes one way, and how some people do these jobs to go others. So some people, even when they think they're qualified, because you really won't know if you really cut out for combat training. I mean, the things that happen in combat until it's right there in front of you. And that's when the real test, no matter how much training you get, you can come out at the top of your class. But until you see that head blow off in front of your face, or you got your partner's guts all over you, it's just like no matter what I've learned in the Army, the things I've seen in the streets of Chicago when I was out there trying to be cool and hustle and hanging out with different people, and to see people that I came up with just get their lives just end like that. And I didn't have to join the Army to see a guy's head explode in front of my face. Okay, I saw that just as a guy now. I can't tell you how I feel about that, except that it's like it doesn't, it just stays there. And the way it happened, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. But that don't make it any easier. I saw enough ugly before. I remember when I was in basic, a lot of guys, they came out of situations. A lot of them were middle class or working class, families, parents around and stuff, and they had an idea of combat different than myself. I saw combat. I've been shot at. I was jumped by a mob of white boys. Market Park was still a white neighborhood. I've been chased. I've never been knocked out or received a black eye. I've been hit, but I got a hard head, and I can take a lot of people. But my point is, it's like I'm not saying that you wouldn't be good. I'm just saying I want you to deserve everything between now and while you're going through school, while you're going through college. I want you to enjoy all of that and look, you look, pay attention to the military because it is part of your base bone, and I have a lot of respect for them. But like I'm saying, that's why you can't go in the VA hospital with me. It's like, well, you can after you finish AIT, but uh, and you could go now, but it's like it's certain things. It's just so much. It's just there's thousands and thousands of occupations in the military, and something other than Rangers. There's also CI, SID, special cops. There's so many jobs other than that carry the same type of challenge, carries the same type of danger. But at the same time, some are dealt with in different ways. You get treated in different ways in different situations. So I just don't want you to put Green Beret as it. I just want you to look at everything and not only look at it, but when you get to your next, you know where you're going to take your AIT at next summer?
Um, Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Okay, well, you're going to artillery. That's artillery base, Dust Bowl. So but I wish maybe by the time when you get transportation and when you get your own time, I would like you to visit some of the garrison outlets, like where y'all used to live at in Virginia, places where there was other jobs that they they're challenging too, because like I loved when I was in transportation, because my job was to make sure my vehicles were ready. My job was to make sure that every guy's vehicle was up to date mechanically, no problems with it. And I love things like railroad, making sure that I like logistics. I like making sure stuff is where it's supposed to be. Now I was kind of a hard head when it came to like some sergeants I wouldn't just respond to, the same way. But when it came to doing the job, and it was just about the job, because a lot of people think they're managers or bosses or sergeants or officers, but they don't have, just like some men think they're cops because they're a cop and they got a gun, but they don't know how to be a cop, to deal with. You got to deal with the person. You got to be able to look them straight in the eye. If you're in combat, you got to be able to take a man's life without thinking twice if that person is stuck at you. And that's something you don't train you. They train you how to handle yourself, but the other part goes way. And when I look at my grandson, I see you with so many opportunities of so many different things. I don't see you as this one thing. And at the same time, at 17, I'm not trying to hear that you've already made a decision. Now, you feel like this at 21 when you finish college and stuff, that's on you. But I want you to, while you're doing this, I don't want you just to have that one track mind on just that, what, I don't forget what we used to call it. What? No, no. This is a senior moment I'm having here, folks.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
but I
get what
you're saying. I do want to direct you, so we don't have a whole lot of time to address you. And hearing everything that he's saying, and watching what you've watched and what have you, what are your thoughts about that transition? Because you said, okay, well, I do 20 years. By the time I'm 37, 38, I'm retired. However, retired from the military doesn't mean you don't need to work anymore, because that retirement is not like, I'm making all this money. Right. So what did you imagine yourself when you said to yourself, I am going to do full 20? How did you imagine transitioning
out of the military?
So that's pretty young.
That's like near my age. I knew that if I were, like, once I was done, that I was going to do one of two things. Both, depending on how well one of them went. I was going to be a music producer and work on a business in music. I was going to do videography and work on video production.
So how would you be able to do that in the path that you're saying that you would choose? Because you understand that kind of training, that kind of dedication.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's a different path.
Yeah, altogether.
And they teach that in the military too.
In the military, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I just knew that I was gonna do that afterwards, and I also already practiced it now. So it was like, well, when I'm done, I'll just keep going.
Right, but and this is the thing that I think some people get lost on. So I talked to you before about how I built my career. It started actually technically before 17, but in building my career and the training that I've gathered, it's had to, I've stayed in my field this whole time. You're talking about taking a whole nother route altogether. Even though you'll get your degree in that area, you won't have the experience because you're going a whole nother route. So when you transition out of that, how will you then jump back into that field?
I don't have to completely step out of it per se, because I can still do both. Well,
how?
I will be National Guard, so I'm not gonna always be out and on deployment.
But you're talking about transitioning.
In my free times, like during that part, I'll still be working on it and doing the best that I can and making myself relevant in that field. And then in transitioning, Um, I mean, that's a how to put it. I'm gonna do it no matter what. As in, no matter what I face in that moment, I'm not expecting it to be easier or like, oh, just hop a couple hurdles. That's not what I'm expecting. Um, but I do know that once I'm there, I'll fight for it.
Okay, well that sounds pretty, but I'm gonna I'm gonna say, I want to say this. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this and break this down, it's not just because my son has joined. I think that first of all of us that are civilians don't necessarily look at the full picture. So this is why I wanted to see, first how they are promoting it, it. What does it look like once you get in? Here's the beginning. Here's the season. But I'm gonna get to you in just a second. But I also wanted to address the fact that people have to transition to real life. So what I have seen, because I know military people, and people don't recognize that a lot of these cops are previous military as well, which is another subject all by itself.
Firemen also.
PSD. Okay.
Paramedics.
Right. So what I feel that people kind of skip over when you first get in and you're like, oh, this is going to be my path. One, you don't think about how it's going to take a toll on your mind. You don't recognize how it has changed how you deal with people altogether. So you have to reacclimate yourself into society when you transition. It won't be like, oh, okay, well, I'm done with that job. Let me do this job. It doesn't work that way because you have been a part of an entirely different culture. And in a lot of people, they're dealing with culture shock once they come out of that, especially special forces, and then decide, you know what, let me take up photography. Let me take up, teaching. Let me take up, whatever.
And some of them
It doesn't
do.
happen that way.
Some do. But my question was, and I was still curious when my grandson told me that he was joining the Guard, and he sent me a picture of the recruiter. Did you tell your recruiter that you was interested in producing and entertainment and audio? Did you tell him that?
He did tell me that. Yes.
I also saw
Okay.
jobs
Did
for it.
Yeah, he asked about all the jobs and things for it, and
uh-huh.
and Christian decided on his own that's what he wanted to do, because it's not what the job that they have for it in the military is not actually what he wants to do. It's not the same thing.
Well,
So
yeah, no, actually, the Armed Forces Network does. And there is production as far as television, writing, and screen, or learning
yes, but
basics.
right, but what
wasn't
he
the
asked
same thing.
though, it's not what he asked is what would be my regular job. So although there would be, occasional opportunities where you can work on certain things in productions, he asked specifically, what would be my day to day? What would be my regular? What would I, be working on? So when he asked about what that actually looks like,
Mm-hmm.
that's when he's like, okay, well, this is not actually what I'm working to do. So what the recruiter explained to him is, right now you're National Guard, so you can actually pursue that and work on that, while he's in college and while he's doing all this other stuff, which he can.
But he
He
left
can
something
do,
out. That's
which
what I'm
is
saying.
what?
Which is the fact there's a whole thing where you can get a whole military after college. If you come in after college, say if you were, what are you going to major in college?
Video production.
Okay. If you get a degree in video production for the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, you can do just that. Not like, oh, here you go. You gotta go out to the jungle now, put that equipment down. You can
No, he
actually
explained that.
Yeah, I
He
know
explained
that.
that. Christian said he would be bored. That's the situation at
Oh, I
home.
see. Okay.
Okay.
So you don't want
So
to do
no.
video production for like, I'm just saying if he has a
Yeah.
degree in that, yeah,
Right,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
No, he
Well,
was
I
explaining
say
the same thing. So okay,
Well,
so here's
but
here's the
basically, I
thing.
just want my grandson to pay attention to everything on this journey,
I
I
and don't
understand.
just.
I
That's
like
all.
deeply
I
researched
understand,
it
but
before
here's
choosing.
the thing. There are so many different types of people. I have noticed that my son Christian is his own breed.
Yes.
He is very different. He is one of those that likes to attack things head on. He doesn't he cannot be bored. He cannot be complacent. He cannot do the okey doke. That is not the way that he is built. So because of that though, and I do believe that he's not the only person that's like
No.
that. Because of that, I do feel like it is important to speak to your, people like yourself and other veterans. And I would like, if you could, find someone that did special forces to speak to him about that as well. But I think it is important to look at the transition process, because I do feel like he as they put it, built for tough. He's tough. He is. So I think the most important part to focus on is not how challenging it will be in the military, it's how you will live your life after. That's what needs to be focused on with somebody like this, because
The
you
other
telling
side of
them,
the
oh,
tunnel.
right, so to tell somebody like this, oh, it's gonna be, oh, it's gonna be hard, oh, this will mess with your head, and that's not the approach you take with somebody that's like built different. That's not the approach you take with somebody like that. But I also want to say this, because I don't want it to have to be a part 3 just for me to say this one thing. I want to say this. When in showing the things that I have shown, and I do have one more video to show, but in showing the things that I have shown, I want people to understand and appreciate what our military does. There are several. Oh, okay, he left. I think he accidentally did. There are several different branches in the military, and all of them have their place and their position and what they do. We have to respect. I don't know where his video went. He's all black. I don't know where his video went. But we have to respect what it is that they do for this country. That military, just like in that video that was shown before, and explaining that the National Guard technically started before there even was the USA. And understanding that all of them have a part in making sure that we have the kind of country that we have today. We have to embrace our military, love on our military, appreciate our military, and provide them with better resources, especially when it comes to mental health and all of the other benefits that they're in need of. That's another show in itself, and I did address the PTSD portion in the previous episode, so you can go ahead and check that out. But I want to show this video real quick so you can look at these young men and women and why they decided to join the National Guard. I'm going to show this video real quick. Here we go.
For the National Guard, we have a state and federal mission, so we support our state for like disasters, and then we can also have a federal mission overseas. We serve both the state and federal government.
But the National Guard gives individuals like yourself and myself the opportunity to stay at home, whereas if you have a goal to go to school, National Guard got you. You don't have to really worry about changing your whole life to serve your country, where the National Guard actually works around your life.
I like to think the National Guard has this elite group of soldiers and members, because you'll have police officers, you'll have firefighters, lawyers, doctors, just a slew of different people that make up this force as far as being a part of the community. They're embedded in their community and they're super involved. So this is like adding these subject matter elite experts with, being a soldier. I mean, you got the total person concept.
So I played that to show, the allure that they have about the National Guard, specifically about dealing with, the regular jobs that are helping and associate themselves with their neighborhoods, they're from and their communities.
And that's the
So
difference between the National Guard and the regular Army too, that they're more
right.
community. Because they had, after when we were training together, they had other stuff in basic that they learned, like dealing with urban situations or dealing with communities where a lot of that we didn't.
Mhm.
'Cause basically I didn't have, I was trained to drive through stuff. It wasn't a community thing. So it was,
Right.
I did combat training, but not that for driving and combat loading, being able to load a tank or
Mhm.
a piece of earth moving equipment on a trailer while you're in a combat, stuff like that. But that's a
Yeah.
whole different thing.
Right. Yeah.
But
And that's what I was saying. You all have your role. You all have your place. You all
but
have
see, he's
individual.
so prepared. That's the thing. Because I'm basically was that same kid. I mean, I did everything. I just didn't have no direction, or basically I didn't have my education to properly approach things the way that this just gentleman, who I'm proud to call my grandson, has. He's more polished
Mhm.
at 17 to take on the world. See, I had the same intellect, but I didn't have the polish or educate or how to conduct myself or to deal with things like racism. Christian is dealing with that now. When I was like, "Ugh," when somebody of another color would make a joke or touch my hair to see,
Mhm.
or hey,
Awesome.
or when they did that, look, I got, they remove their watch. Look, I got a tan. I'm almost your brother, and I would get offended, like, yeah,
Mhm.
So, but he's more, and that's to you, Asia. I would like to think that he has a lot of them in him from a lot of different things. I see things in him, but I also see that he's his own person, and he's been
Absolutely.
like that too. So when I think of you in combat, at the same time, I also think of that kid that I used to see that used to be at his happiest when the whole house was in a good mood.
True.
You
But
had, you had,
to go along with that though, you
mhm.
you need people like that also in combat. You need
Right,
people like that
right.
are able to be level minded and to get everybody together the way that they need to accomplish the
Like,
mission.
yeah, like medics. Like, because those guys, a lot of people say, like, the guys that's out there that's coming crawling under fire to deal with you under fire, those guys are, to me, like, there's a story of a guy from World War II. It's a movie. It's real popular too, but you ought to see it. It's about a medic that out there, he didn't believe in pulling the trigger, but he went out there and pulled so many combat soldiers
I know what he's
out
talking
of the
about.
harm's way. Long after the unit had pulled out, he was out there by himself, just rescuing, wounded soldiers that were all over the battlefield.
Okay.
It's like it takes a lot of heart to do that, to go and save another man while you're being shot at, or chances are. So it's a lot of stuff. And if that's what you want to do, I'm for you. My prayers will be with. I pray for you anyway. So whatever. I just want you to keep a wide view of all the places you can jump hit on, and you won't be bored, because once you leave your mother's house, once you out there on your own, trust me, you won't be bored. What you could
Right.
do,
I
and
don't
with
know
your
what
type of
my
energy,
problem.
yeah,
Right.
I just
Yeah.
think there's a lot of things out there for you. I think you'll be good at.
Yeah,
Let me put it
absolutely.
this way, grandson, whatever you decide to do, you have my prayers and blessings, and you'll be good at whatever you put your mind to. And don't let
Absolutely.
nobody tell you different. You got to think over things, but also you got to take the consideration of the people that love you, like your mom and me and other people, your other grandparents, everybody. So,
Absolutely. Okay,
yeah.
so we're gonna go ahead and play this Find the Fake one more time, and then you're gonna go ahead and let everybody know which one is the fake. So here we go.
Oh,
So
I can answer it.
no, he's answered his own.
Oh.
All right, Mr. Powers, please let everybody know which one is the fake. Wait. Someone says
Okay.
C.
Huh?
Natasha
Ooh.
says C. Which one was it?
Oh,
Which one was
I can't play drums.
that? Yeah, no, he plays no instruments.
No, I play no instruments. I have an eye for talent, though. I know talent.
Yeah.
Hey,
Maybe
look,
we can
you
get
know
him
what?
on the show to talk about that another
We'll
time.
talk about that another time. All right. Well, you could just treat me to lunch, and we'll talk about that one-on-one.
Well,
You
that
know.
won't get on the show if I do that.
Yeah, but you might want, you might want to test to see will I be able to? Am I actually what I say I am?
Oh, well, I
Or
can
maybe I'm
always
just looking to be treated to a lunch. How's that?
well, I can do that.
Is that in your show's budget?
That's in my budget. Hello. Okay.
Let me hold a quarter then, man.
All right. So go ahead and, as you did last week, I want you guys to give your words of wisdom to the audience, please, and thank you. Go ahead, hit it. Wendell.
Words of wisdom. Always do the right thing. Never, I'm 64 years old and I don't have no reason to have to look over my shoulder. Only thing I fear is that I don't, that I still might do something stupid, but God's got no, God's got my back. And like I said, I step out on faith, and I learned that all my life, but I've been using that in my life for the past, I guess you could say 15 years, where I believe in that. In the past 10 years, I've actually have really come to, there's no question because I'm still here, and the things I went through, I should not, no. So
Okay.
yeah,
Got you.
just do your best and have faith.
All right, kiddo.
My words of wisdom?
Your words of wisdom.
There's a lot of different type of people in the world. Learn which ones to keep, which bridge to build, which bridges to avoid. And just because you're not burning a bridge doesn't mean you're not letting it crumble. So keep in contact with those that are important to you. Because everyone that has helped you matters, especially because they care about you and you should care about them. And you can help to build each other up. So there's
absolutely very wise.
Very good. That's my senior grandson. Very good.
So very wise for someone so young. I know, right?
Yeah, he has old soul, kind of old soul, I think.
And I'll see you tomorrow, Natasha. All right.
Who's
So,
Natasha?
my friend,
I want to know about her.
okay. Anyway, now for my closing. Remember to embrace God's perfect design, which is you. Till next time, we'll be right here Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a good evening.
My daughter, my grandson, I love you, man.
Okay.
Hey, tell your siblings to give me a call. Maybe
I'm gonna salute back.
All right.
I want to salute back.
Bye-bye.
He's not
Out, soldier.
We